Alright everyone, hello and welcome into this live stream. Hope you are doing well. Let's go ahead and make sure this thing is live right now, and then we'll kind of get into everything here. But I think it's working alright. And yeah, we should be live at this point. So welcome on to the stream. Yep, let's see if this gets working here. And then we'll get right on into it. So if I can just get a thumbs up in the chat real quick, just let me know that you can hear me okay. And then we'll kind of go ahead and focus on this hazards map here from the National Weather Service, because we do have a lot going on. We've got a snowstorm we're going to talk about for the Northeast, and we've got another system coming behind it. So we want to make sure that we get on in and kind of cover all those details between these systems that are on the way. Yep, so let's go ahead and kind of float on over there to that hazards map, and just again give me that thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me okay at this point. Thank you so much for joining me on this Thursday evening. It is almost to the end of the week, everyone. The first week of 2024. Hey, Mr. Storm in the chat. We've got Mr. David Schwepp in the chat as well, watching from Illinois. Hey, everybody, welcome in to this video. And just again, let me know if you can hear me at this point. But I'm turning this up on my end. I can hear myself. So we're going to go ahead and get right on into this. We've got a winter storm watch that's just been issued this evening, okay? And I want you to notice the areas it impacts, okay? Because it's not abnormal to have a winter storm watch into parts of the Appalachian Mountains like this, okay? So this is not necessarily an uncommon thing to have that there. So keep that in mind, that while there's a winter storm watch in those zones, hear me great, audio is good, awesome. I'm glad to hear it. It might lag maybe 20-30 seconds behind what I'm saying. But anyway, it's not uncommon to have this winter storm watch like we do up here in Appalachia. But what is, a little bit more uncommon is to have a winter storm watch move on up here into more populated zones, okay? So we're going to be watching this area here into parts of New York. We've got southern Vermont, southern New Hampshire, southwestern parts of Maine as well. And then in southern New England, this is north of New York City. In fact, if I want to zoom on in, let's go ahead and do that. Let's zoom on in and kind of see exactly some of the impacted areas of this system. In this area right in here, that's kind of where we're going to be watching the winter storm watch conditions develop. And there have been some trends that the snow could actually be a little heavier right around and just north of New York City. So we'll kind of keep a very close watch on this. Hey, Mr. Storm, welcome onto the stream. But anyway, yeah, let's go ahead and kind of get into what we're talking about here. And kind of look at what's going to happen out of this system. Now, first of all, early on with this system into our Friday, we do have a level 1 severe weather threat that includes parts of southern Louisiana, including the New Orleans area. This includes parts of southern Mississippi on down there towards Mobile, Alabama. The western panhandle of Florida getting in on a marginal severe weather risk into our Friday. So keep in mind that this is going to be kind of an elevated severe weather chance, and this is going to include the chance for some brief spin-up tornadoes. Okay, you can see that. There's a 2% tornado risk zone there from the Storm Prediction Center. And then we've also got hail threat, the wind threat, not quite as elevated out of this system. Okay, so let's kind of take a look. And I'm going to use model here to kind of take a look and see how this kind of pans out with the system early on. We're going to turn on NAM 3 kilometer. I want to use that one for this. And we're going to go ahead and head on over right now to the reflectivity with the precipitation type. And what we're going to do here, we're going to kind of analyze. We do have winter weather advisories coming on out over parts of the plains as well out of this system. So I kind of want to just touch on every little part and kind of get into this system. Okay. So yeah, I'll take a look and answer your individual question at the end of the live. I see some of your comments asking about your individual zone. Let's go ahead. So again, this is why we have a winter weather advisory into parts of the western plains. These areas here, we're kind of watching some brief snow into that pocket right there out of this system. Okay, so we'll kind of watch that, but we're also mainly watching this area down here, and this is what's going to kind of trigger that brief Friday severe weather threat. By the way, into our Saturday, the same low-end wind as well as tornado threat kind of elevates here into parts of South Georgia and North Florida. So overall, it's a marginal risk, and it's nothing like what we're going to see next week, okay? I can go ahead and tell you that. But what we do see here is this little line moving along, and let's zoom on in now. Now that we've covered that snow side, let's zoom on this line and kind of see how this transpires here. As we make our way into the afternoon hours on our Friday, moving this along. We've got this low pressure system developing in the southeast, and there's some of those cells. I would watch those kind of embedded kinks in that line of cells. We're kind of watching as well for that kind of embedded tornado threat. So this is a low-end threat for tornadoes, low-end threat for some damaging winds, and this is going to trek all the way along the Gulf Coast. So exit that area I have circled. That races through tomorrow evening into the overnight, and then parts of the Florida Panhandle and North Florida get in. On some rainfall as well out of this. So that's what we're looking at with rainfall. Okay. Now, if I go on over here now to the, I want to go to the severe weather, and I kind of want to take a look at what ingredients we actually have in place. Are we going to have much storm energy here? I like the way the NAM model has painted this out so far, so I'm going to kind of trust it with this surface-based cape. Now, any color on your screen is some sort of instability, but notice where this is. Look at where the instability to fuel those storms is. We see instability. It is quite, anything beyond blue, some of these lighter blues, some of these oranges here over the Gulf. If these can translate on in and onshore, then yes, we get kind of a severe weather threat. But look, man, that just doesn't really get onshore, and that's why this stays a marginal threat tomorrow. They're in the west panhandle of Florida, so parts of Apalachicola, all these areas in West Florida. Tallahassee, these zones, you're just going to get a quick shot of some afternoon storms tomorrow. Could they be severe? Yes. Maybe we'll see some severe storms touch the Carolina and Georgia coastline as well. So we'll kind of watch that closely. Now, let's head over to what's going to happen in the Northeast, because I know that's what everybody's here for, because it's going to be snowing, right? And the models have been changing around quite a bit. I want to tell you now that this storm, considering that it's 3 to 4 days out, there is still a lot of gosh darn uncertainty with this system, okay? I just can't stress that enough to you at this point. But continuing to kind of adjust the slider, we're going to play through the GFS model here first, because right now we don't have the HRRR in effect with this storm because we're still 60 plus hours out. Look at that area here. I think this zone I'm circling now has the chance for some heavy snow late Saturday going into Sunday. But the key is, how long is it going to last? We've got kind of a little bit more of a warm front pushing in from the south than what was initially expected with this system, okay? That's going to kind of create maybe some isolated sleet pocketing into these areas I'm circling now. New York City, you might start off with some snow, but it could quickly turn on over to some rain. But notice maybe turning back to snow at the end of this event. And what's actually going to kind of help this system out just a little bit is it's going to actually phase a little bit with the polar jet stream, which was not necessarily originally expected. So let's let's look here and play this out. I'm going to go to the NAM model because we're going to do the NAM model. And I want to show you something a little interesting about this whole setup here. Again, here we go. There goes the system. Look at these pieces of the polar jet stream bringing some snowfall to parts of Minnesota, Wisconsin, the Dakotas. Not much, but some snowfall, some light accumulation over the northern plains out of the system. Okay. By the way, hit that like button if you haven't already. And then we've got this area of some rain again. This is as we make our way early Saturday. Now, as the system continues progressing eastward, what we notice, I played that too quickly, we notice some snow, maybe hitting parts of Chicago, parts of Indianapolis, parts of northwest Ohio. We've also got some freezing rain breaking out in western North Carolina. We could get a quick 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch of ice accretion out of that into parts of western North Carolina and western Virginia. Some rain in this pocket here, isolated flooding, not out of the question, not a big rainmaker here though. Continue to play this out, and we kind of notice that system. Could we see this start off with some snow even in the DC region? Yes, but again, a lot of the problem that we've been seeing with recent systems is this warm push, okay? And look at how this warm push of air just comes straight up, and it kind of infiltrates that snow, which is why that snowfall chance is kind of best focused in this area right here that I'm circling. Now also notice again, here's that piece of the northern jet stream. This is going to help a little bit, especially if the system is weakening right offshore. This is going to kind of help out a little bit. And as these two pieces phase together, we could see another quick shot of some snow. And this could be quite heavy at times, could even include New York City but Boston could also get some heavy snow because this low is just lingering right here. As long as it can get help, it can produce snow still. And that's what it looks like it'll do. It'll get a little bit of assistance. Now, I'm going to turn on model blend, and we're going to look at how much snowfall is being anticipated out of the system at this point, because we've seen a lot of switcheroos with that thing, with the models here in the national blend. And kind of taking a look at snowfall, I want to zoom in on the Northeast. Well, first of all, we'll do this kind of broad view. Monitor some of the totals. Notice through the system we get some brief totals kind of filling on in here into parts of Chicago, northern Indiana. Some of those could be closer to an inch or two. Some heavier snow up here riding along the northern corridor. Not much here in the plains, a lot back here in the Mountain West. But here are those totals in the Northeast that you want to be looking at. No, let's not go that far. Alright, let's zoom in. By the way, I should be releasing a video tomorrow. This is just a quick stream update today. But here's that snowfall from the blend. Alright, purple, any of these purplish pink colors on your screen, that's where you could pick up at least a half foot of snow. And this is where the averages of a bunch of models is showing a half foot of snow. So I'm outlining this for you to make it easier to see. These areas are where I'm anticipating a half foot of snow right now using the average of the data. This is why the model blend is good to look at, because we're looking at kind of the average of all those models coming together and showing you here how much snow. But it looks like most of Massachusetts, except for the coastal zones, picking up a solid half foot plus. Most of Connecticut and the northern half of it. Southeast New York. So this is a decent snow swath in this area here. But notice New York City. Hard to read that number there, but that is 0.6. Another disappointing event for New York City if it plays out like this. But remember, any little shift, there is so much room for a quick shift of the low pressure from here down to here. And all that does is shift that purple area down here, right onto the coastlines. So just keep that in mind that we can still see a change. But right now, if you're laying money on snow and the best chance of some heavier snow, it's going to be in this area right here that is outlined by a model blend that is being put in winter storm watches, and where we'll also have some slightly gustier winds, okay? Now we'll pick up some heavy rainfall into parts of the southeast out of this system. I want to get out of this and move on here to this. This is our 72-hour precipitation. This is with this system. Anything in blues more than half an inch. Purples, though, this is where that heavier rain's going to be falling out of the system. And remember, we had that Gulf Coast system skim mid-week this week, so we've already had some snow over some of these areas, okay? Or, excuse me, some rain. Yeah, we haven't had snow in the Gulf Coast. But we've already had some pretty heavy rain over parts of this area, pretty much some of the only rain of the week in that area, all right? So just keep that in mind, that we're not looking at a lot of rain being a problem in many areas, but down here, this is where I'd watch that flood threat. Let's see if the Weather Prediction Center agrees. Well, wow, let's look at that. I definitely didn't look at this Weather Prediction Center graphic before. But anyway, you get the point here. This is where that best flood threat is going to develop out of this system. Now, once we get past this system, we move on to the next one, right? And that's what I'm going to do here now. I go in chronological order on the channel. That's what I try to do. Yeah, I can't believe how it changed either, Mr. Storm. Let's pull this up, that latest Euro run. We're getting the 3 hour, we're getting some of the 3 hour modes as well with the Euro as well, which I like. So let's go ahead and kind of move the slider along. The computer's a little slow. But anyway, there goes that system again. Look, while I'm on it, let me show you. There's that heavier snow with the Euro, right, kind of in that region. Sleet changing over to rain on Long Island, changing over to rain in New York City with this scenario. Even Boston, kind of on the edge. And look at some of those purples right along the coastline there. That's something interesting to watch and how that could switch. And also notice the Euro doesn't show this phasing much, but it's a little stronger to begin with. So there's still multiple things that have got to come together right now to make this storm, that are going to change this storm. But this is the next system, and this is the one that's actually been being talked about for longer because of the fact that it's going to be able to unleash some colder air behind it. And we've already got that cold air, so this is probably going to bring I can tell you with certainty at this point that around Monday of next week on the 8th of January, this area is going to be a severe weather concern. This area is going to be a snowstorm concern. Hello from the northwest Chicago suburbs. Good to see you on the live. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm reading your comment just now. We're getting into that second storm system that could impact you, especially. We're watching severe weather down here, and I want to break down that severe weather threat in detail in just a second. But talking about the snowfall band as well, this is going to set up over parts of, it looks like central Kansas, Nebraska, and Iowa. With the low trekking like this, like it looks like it will right now, this essentially means that everybody through parts of West Kansas, Nebraska, this area I just circled, if the low tracks close enough to your area to give you heavy snow, then you're going to see it accumulate and you're not going to see it turn over to rain, okay? I can say that with pretty good certainty here. That's if you can get snow in those areas. Notice the moisture looks to be lacking and kind of keeps the snow out of those areas. And man, does this disappoint people who love snow, because there's a snow band here. That's heavy. That's going to accumulate probably over northern Missouri, parts of Illinois, but Chicago kind of on the edge of that. Here we go again. Central Wisconsin getting some snow, Michigan getting some snow, and then PA getting some heavy snow out ahead of this. But look, this storm, I drew this in my video yesterday. Not going to use the colors I did, but we've got a warm front here, cold front here. Warm air is just absolutely punching all the way on up towards Pennsylvania on that warm frontal side of the system. And everywhere that sees snow initially into parts of the Northeast turns over to heavy rain. This area, though, again, that's kind of where I would monitor the chance for some accumulating snow. Really, anywhere that sees snow in here, especially has the best chance for some decent accumulation. And in terms of how much snow you could get, it could add up past a foot locally where it's at the heaviest point in that area. So we'll kind of monitor that. But this system, a lot more dynamic. This first low pressure that hits the Northeast, the little snowstorm there, that is a 990 millibar low. That is already a stronger low pressure system. But pressure with this next system goes from 995 to 969 quickly as this races on off towards the Northeast. And again, that's why, I keep clicking on that. This is why we're going to have the severe weather threat over the southern U.S. out of this system as it drags through. Okay. Let's go to the wind gusts, and then we'll do an in-depth breakdown of severe weather. I'll answer questions, and then we'll end the live. Alright, here's what we've got. Look, the first system brings some quick, and what I mean by quick is very, very quick winds. Maybe Atlanta, Georgia picking up some 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts. I don't think so much. Long Island could pick up some quicker 30 to 50 maybe mile per hour wind gusts out of this first system. But the second system, man, this thing is looking monstrous in the wind field. Winds developing 40 miles an hour out ahead of it. Look at how those winds are just, the lows here. Big northwest flow around this. Big southerly flow out ahead of this. That is big wind, everybody. And this is going to be a big problem along the coastline of the East Coast especially as that rides on up. You see those colors there, those brown colors, that is hurricane wind. And that is going to be pushing right up that Northeast coast. We've seen this a couple times already. We saw that big one a few weeks ago that impacted parts of southern New England badly with those winds and power outages. This looks like another one of those scenarios if it continues to shape up this way. So if you're on Long Island, you're in Connecticut, you're in Cape Cod, you're in Maine, I'd be bracing for a similar event with the data we have right now. But don't rule out 30 to 50 mile an hour wind gusts over this entire zone here. Maybe some locally higher coming off the lakes and in the mountains. Okay, now I want to break down the severe weather threat, okay, with this system. I don't, like to really brag, but I mean, this risk has been down by the Storm Prediction Center for a while, okay, this 15% risk for Monday. This is already a slight risk being expected. But this risk, as we go into our Tuesday, I put this on my graphic in video the last 2 days before this was down by the Storm Prediction Center. And you can go back and watch my latest video. I'll show you this area is where I'm highlighting on into Tuesday. Maybe I think this will shade a little further north as well into some of these zones. But overall, I had this entire yellow area that they've got pretty much down pat. That's a little brag, but anyway, I just felt a little good at getting that correct. I'm always trying to learn new stuff, and I looked at some different graphics and I was able to kind of pick that out. But regardless, we've got this area here, and this is going to be the zone to watch for that severe weather, okay? And it's looking like we're going to have a strong low-level jet. We're going to see all the ingredients in place. Low-level moisture is going to be available. And to show you how far north some of this low-level moisture goes and how this could extend the severe weather threat, because I know we're going to have a big wind field. Okay, we just saw the surface wind gusts are even stronger right above our head. There's a very strong low-level jet out of this system. Let's kind of watch. This is the first system. Let's get that out of there. Look at the moisture return with the second system. I think, and I'm about to draw a line, okay? Don't take this 100%. If you're north of this line, or let's draw it like this. If you're north of this line here, you're definitely good for severe weather. Honestly, if you're north of this line here, I think you're pretty good for severe weather. Probably this is going to be kind of the zone that ends up maybe seeing some severe weather out of the system. At least a marginal risk. Okay? The slight risk is probably going to be down here, and if it gets upgraded to enhanced, we will see. But the low-level moisture is just going to be abundant down there. Low-level wind field is strongest in here, but again, the moisture is not pumping up there as much. How strong could the wind gusts get in Long Island for that second storm? Great question. With what I'm looking at right now, I'll show you. You know what? Let me show you right now. Let's go to Long Island right now, and look at those wind gusts. By the way, we could maybe see severe weather this far north if the warm front lifts north far enough. Weather's severe enough with as strong as these winds are going to be. But yeah, I know you love to film those storms. And no, I didn't mean to click on that. Okay, here we go. Let's extend this. Alright, here comes the second storm. And I don't show you anything here to scare anyone, okay? But this is some pretty nasty stuff crossing by. Here we go. This is the one. This is what I was looking at earlier. And this is what is scary. Alright? Just, that wouldn't be good to see these kinds of wind gusts pushing on shore. So monitor for 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. This is the Euro. Let's look at the GFS, okay, because we don't want to consult one model. Let's look at the... So this is out of that second system to anyone who's just tuning in, okay? You can watch my latest videos, still pretty valid information as well, if you haven't already. 10 meter wind gusts, come on. Alright, here we go. But yeah, so maybe the Euro showing 60 to 80 mile per hour gusts on Long Island. Alright. And then the GFS, let's see what it shows. First system, again, some quick gusts. Could be on the stronger side, maybe 30 to 50 at the highest. Here's that second system. We don't see it quite as much, but we still see that 40 to 60 signal. So monitor that. I had someone... Let's look this up. Okay. Let's keep going here. Alright. I had a comment from Minnesota watching for a snowfall there. And let's get your question answered there. Okay. That's central Minnesota. Alright. Let's look at your snowfall over the next several days. By the way, this is pretty much it for the stream for everyone else. Winter weather. Sorry, I've just got a lot of stuff running on my computer right now. So they're in central Minnesota. Kinda place. You might end up just not getting much there. So right now, I would watch new videos because this area, I think you're going to see some pretty decent snowfall chance by the end of January. And I know that sounds stupid to say because it is January, right? You're probably going to get snow. It just looks like Minnesota's kind of in the wedge area between clippers up here, systems riding down here. Okay? So for you watching there in central Minnesota, I just don't like the way this looks for your chances right now. Things could change though. Okay. Um, but if I don't have any other questions, I'm going to be ending this stream now. Plans to make a video tomorrow. Plans to make a video Saturday, hopefully. Um, we'll watch those snow totals riding along the Dakotas up there. But man, I just love sitting here watching these models with you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in. I love doing a stream every now and then instead of a video. Um, yep, but that's it. So I'm just going to sit here on this screen for about one more minute. And then if I don't get any more comments, then that's going to be the end of this. Hit that subscribe button on your way out if you haven't already. And thanks to everyone who is commenting in the chat, because that means you are subscribed. So that's awesome. Thank you, everyone. Any other questions? Ending stream in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2,